Here we are at the completed International Space Station. It is indeed a beautiful and lovely laboratory work environment with its power and cooling arrays deployed. This is Atlantis docked for its final mission on the International Space Station. Mike Fossum will be egressing the airlock first, wearing the red stripes, and Ron Guerin will be EV2 for the EVA. The first thing that Mike will do is head up to the external stowage platform number 2 and position his crew lock bag so he can access the Colt tools that I was telling you about earlier. That's the location for the crew lock bag, and then he'll be removing the gap spanner that spans the distance between the external stowage platform and the lab, allowing for a little bit easier translation between those two elements when crew members need to make that jump. Here's the location of the 2 Colt tools on the back of the LAPA, or that pallet that the pump module is installed on. While Mike is working on installing the Colt tools, Ron will be installing the foot restraint onto the robotic arm and then ingressing that foot restraint and getting into position to hold on to the handrails that are on the pallet portion of the pump module assembly. Mike will come over and drive the primary bolt to release it. You can see here in the NBL the relative size of the pump module assembly relative to the crew member. Ron will move on the arm out over the starboard just a little bit over the other ORUs that are on the ESP2 and then rotate it around to begin getting it into position where it can be docked down into the payload bay. You'll see another maneuver a little bit later. Once he's on his way to the payload bay, Mike packs up his tool bag and heads down to the payload bay, following the path shown flashing here in blue. You'll notice it's kind of a tight translation path between the GEM module and the MPLM that's docked for the mission. He'll maneuver down into the payload bay, translating to the aft of the payload bay, while Ron comes on the robotic arm down into position carrying the pump module. That pump module is about 1,400 pounds. He'll have to make one more flip of the payload before he can bring it down into the payload bay because, as you can see, the arm is going to turn him upside down in order to get into position to berth the pump module into the payload bay. You can see that it is very close to the aft bulkhead of the payload bay, especially here in the NBL video. So Mike will be keeping a close eye out to make sure that it's settling nicely in the back near the aft bulkhead and down onto the adapter plate that's on the cross bay carrier of the payload bay. Once they complete installing the pump module into the payload bay, they'll make a quick check to make sure that all of the multi-layer insulation on the pump module is in good configuration. And then they're going to be trading out positions. Mike and Ron both wanted to have a chance to share the workload and to have a chance to ride on the robot arm. So Ron will egress the arm and Mike will get on and then maneuver down into the bottom of the payload bay to retrieve the RRM payload from underneath the cross bay carrier. Here you can see it at Kennedy Space Center during processing. You can see that it has all types of interfaces and tools on the payload to demonstrate various types of servicing once it gets out to its final location on the space station. Here you can see Mike pulling it out from under the cross bay carrier, with Ron keeping a close eye on clearances as it's very close to the floor liner of the payload bay. Sandy and Doug will be watching all the views that they have available to them as they monitor those clearances and fly the robot arm from the payload bay back over to the lab nadir, where the Dexter arm is waiting to receive the RRM. During the stage, the Dexter arm, and the space station robot arm will take that payload out to its final location. Once they're maneuvered over to the lab, Ron will translate back up out of the payload bay, bring the tools with him, and meet Mike up at the lab on the Dexter. He'll assist with docking the RRM to the Dexter. And when that's complete, they'll both be free to move on to their next task. Here you can see that same operation happening on a special mock-up in the neutral buoyancy laboratory. Because this operation would happen very low to the floor in the NBL, we've actually put another mock-up into the water to simulate the lab nadir so that they can do it all in a heads-up position. Mike will fly on the robot arm with Sandy and Doug driving the arm back over to the ESP2 where he can clean up the arm, putting the foot restraint back onto the ESP2, removing the worksite adapter for the foot restraint, and then cleaning up any other tools that they may have left on the ESP2, as well as reinstalling the gap spanner. While he's cleaning up the SSRMS, Ron will be making his way back to the airlock, trading out one tool bag for another and picking up the OrMate tool bag. That tool bag also contains a camera that they'll be using while they're out on the external logistics carrier number 2. You can see his translation path here out to the S3 element. And he'll be translating up to the external logistics carrier number 2. He'll temp stow his crew lock bag and then get in position to install the OrMate. You'll also hear us referring to that payload as the Mini Missy. You remove the cover from the experiment package and then take photos of the material samples that are on the payload itself. Here's a photo showing you all of the small little materials exposure samples. All of those experiments will be used on future satellite applications as well as in exploration. He'll also take photos from the other side of ELC2 to make sure he's got both sides of the payload documented in their initial configuration. That payload will be retrieved on a later mission late next year. Let's see. From there, we'll move on to our get-aheads, and as I was describing earlier, if we could have photo 3, this shows the general location on the Zarya of where the power and data grapple fixture, or the PDGF, was installed on STS-134. You can see that the U.S. segment is toward the left in this photo, which is the PMA-1, and then the node all the way to the left. And then the Zarya is all the way down to the right. And the next photo will show you what we're hoping to clear. You can see that small white wire circled there. The little door that it's stuck in is called a latch door. That's where the space station robotic arm, the connectors, the power and data connectors from the robot arm move down and mate with connectors behind this little door. With that wire in the way, we're concerned about potentially the door being stuck and causing difficulties for the robot arm. So we want to clear that out of the way. If we can show the video, I'll show you how we plan to do that. As I mentioned, we had some of the experts come down from Canada and help us out with preparing this task. And it turns out that clearing this little wire should be pretty simple. There you see the wire, and it actually is a piece of multi-layer insulation grounding wire that runs from the MLI that's on the exterior of the housing of the PDGF. You can see that all you have to do is pull away the MLI and then insert a crew hook from one of the equipment tethers into the latch door. That should free the wire, and then all you have to do is give it a pull from the outside, pulling it back to the exterior of the grapple fixture where it should be, and then tucking it down into position underneath the little Velcro attachment tabs, making sure that it's snug and down behind the Velcro before resecuring the MLI. Once the MLI is resecured, We can remove the equipment hook, and then we'll go back one more time to take a look into the connector, making sure that there's no other foreign objects or any other things getting in the way of that operation. While in the larger photo you can't see that the MLI grounding wire is also behind one of the other doors, there is another photo that we believe we've seen where that grounding wire has also crept up behind one of the other latch doors. So we're going to perform the same operation on the second latch door and then check the 2 remaining latch doors to make sure that all of those are clear. Okay. After that, we'll be going on to install the pressurized mating adapter cover that I was discussing. So let's bring forward photo 5, and you can see where that's located. PMA 3 is currently located on the port side of node 3. Node 3 is attached to the port side of the node 1. So the whole element is pointed out toward port. The open end of it sees a lot of sun in this orientation. So if we can see the next photo, you can see NBL video of the cover that we've developed. It'll be carried to the work site in a special bag carried out by the crew members and then installed using some Velcro straps around the handrails on the what I'll call the snout of the PMA. Finally, we're hoping to get to at least one of the get-aheads, and the first one on the list is the 1553 data cable. So if we could see photo 7. Here you can see the grapple fixture kind of up in the upper right-hand corner of the photo, and then the yellow wire there represents, it's actually 2 wires that are taped together, providing the data connections for command and data to the PDGF platform for the space station robotic arm that could be used in the future to access the Russian elements. That's all I have in materials. So, Josh, I think we can take questions if there's time.
Okay, we'll take some questions from here in Houston. Just wait until the microphone comes to you. We'll start off with Gina down here down front.